Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, the infighting continues. Let's call it the socialism virus, the slow crawl of communism. Once you get infected, it's kind of hard to stop, it's kind of hard to cleanse the body. And now, well, in this particular case, Mamdani is obviously the communist virus, and well, the establishment Democrat white blood cells are mobilizing through the DNC bloodstream. It's all-out panic at the DNC headquarters. It seems like top Democrats are already working behind the scenes to subvert this guy's agenda. And I guess that tells you all that you need to know about the radical left, these young communist revolutionaries and their genius, big, bright ideas. They tell you everyone supports their ideas, right? That's Bernie Sanders' favorite shtick. The large majority of the country agrees with literally everything I say. Well, kind of hard to make that argument when it seems your own frickin' party wants nothing to do with you. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on, as clearly the Democrat establishment is working behind the scenes to counter Mamdani's rise. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I think the mask is starting to slip here. We got Kathy Hockul hitting us with this.
We know that Mamdani does want to tax the rich more, bring it up about 2%. He can't do that on his own. You've previously said that you wouldn't be raising taxes. Have you reconsidered that stance?
No, I would say one energetic rally does not get me to change my positions, I assure you. But I do hear people's voices. I process what everybody says, but I'm also have to balance governing this state and making sure that those people who are actually the reason we have a generous, supportive budget that helps lift people up, it's their revenues that we tax. 1.5% of New Yorkers cover about a third of our budget. That's enormous. I'm concerned about outmigration of people who are the ones who are supporting our budget. I cannot make up for that with middle class tax increases. I cannot do that to the middle class and the struggling New Yorkers. So this is the balance. I mean, this is my position.
So she's basically saying the quiet part out loud. There's no money for Mamdani's little socialist spending spree, and she's not willing to hike taxes on the rich to fund it. Which, of course, by the way, is exactly what Mamdani wants.
Freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants does not require money from the city. It is a determination made that landlords cannot increase the rent for those about 1 million apartments. That's something the city has done before. Making buses free costs around $700 million. Providing universal childcare costs about $6 billion. These are significant amounts of money. They have to be understood in the context of a $116 billion city budget, a state budget of more than $252 billion. The money that we would raise to fund this agenda is in two parts. The first is by increasing the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey. That would raise $5 billion. This would only impact the most profitable corporations, ones that are making millions of dollars in profits. The second is to increase... Please.
You're sure they're not going to leave it? Y esas compañías no se van a ir de Nueva York. They're not going to leave New York.
So the way that this tax works is it applies to any business doing business here. They could be located in Miami, but if they're doing business in New York, it applies to them. And the reason I believe everyone will keep doing business here is our economy is so large that if it was a country, it would rival the top countries in the world. The second is personal income taxes. I think that the top 1% of New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year should pay 2% more in personal income taxes. That would raise $4 billion. These are the two major revenue points. But as you've also said, I want to make sure that every dollar we have today is also a dollar that we are spending in the fullest way possible. And what I mean by that is today I'll look at our Department of Education. It's the agency where we spend the most amount of money of any department in City Hall. And what we find is that we're spending $10 billion a year on contracts. There is money that can be saved in the way in which we spend on those contracts, the way in which we procure those contracts, the standardization or lack thereof. We have to make sure, as you said, that every dollar is going to the benefit of the classroom, the kids in the classroom, the teachers who are teaching them.
New Jersey, by the way, has some of the highest taxes in the union. It's the least competitive state in terms of taxation, and he's now openly saying he wants to do it exactly like they're doing it. He wants to increase taxes on rich people, and he even wants to tax out-of-state companies who are engaging in business in New York City. Kind of like one of those, digital taxes that we see on big tech companies operating in foreign countries. He wants to extort anybody doing business in New York City. And look, I know, as per usual with these slickster socialists, when he delivers the message, it sounds good, right? It sounds, oh, yes, of course. It's only $5 billion. Just increase the tax by 1% on those evil billionaires and everything's going to work out great. Except that's not the way that it works. When you have tax upon tax upon tax, everything going up, you have an increased burden on the most productive job creators in your city. What's inevitably going to happen is people are going to flee. You're going to increase taxes thinking you're going to pull more in taxes, but so many successful rich people and successful companies are going to leave that you'll be worse off in the end. You'll have less productivity, less business startup, less entrepreneurship in your city. We're talking about a slow decay. And then add that with Mamdani's views on crime. His views on law enforcement operations pretty much tell you all that you need to know.
There was an ICE action on Canal Street. They said they were targeting undocumented immigrants who were, selling counterfeit bags, which on Canal Street is kind of, there's a long history of that, obviously. What do you do?
I think this is an example of what is unacceptable in this country. I think the first thing that you do is you close the door that Eric Adams opened to the NYPD doing civil immigration enforcement. He said that on national television. The second thing you do...
So you would not allow the New York Police Department to engage or to cooperate with ICE or DHS?
Not in civil immigration enforcement. We have sanctuary city laws where we've made very, very clear that for a set of serious crimes, there is coordination with the federal administration. But anything beyond that, I think 172 crimes that are listed, that is something for the NYPD to focus on purely right here.
You got people in the country illegally and then selling fake goods, which again is illegal. And Anderson Cooper pretends as if, it's a tradition in New York City. No, it's crime. It's two layers of crime. And Mamdani's view is, just let it happen. And that seems to be his view with all kinds of crimes. He wants no cash bail. He wants open drug markets and human trafficking on the streets because that's, of course, what the end result of these policies are. And so when you have increased chaos, when you have foreign gangs and illegal migrants running drug operations and human smuggling and prostitution operations, your streets end up looking like squalor. Then add the homelessness crisis that of course follows. You get what we're seeing already in New York City, but even worse. More and more people are going to flee. The tax base is going to GTFO. Get the F out. The words themselves, when he presents them, it sounds all warm and fuzzy inside. He's going to create a socialist utopia for all the peoples. But it's not that simple. It never is. And pretty much everybody knows this. Even Democrats know this. That's why they're already fighting his agenda, saying they're not going to back it. They're not going to allow him to increase taxes or increase spending on programs that the state cannot afford. That's essentially what Kathy Hochul was alluding to. And obviously, top Democrats understand this as well. This is why they've been so reluctant to endorse him. Hakeem Jeffries has remained silent, has refused to endorse him for months.
Mamdani won a big victory. Have you endorsed him yet?
I have not. We had a conversation on Wednesday morning where I congratulated him on the campaign that he ran, a campaign that clearly was relentlessly focused on the high cost of living in New York City and the economy. He outworked, he out-communicated, and he out-organized the opposition, and that's clearly why he was successful.
So what's holding you back from endorsing him right now?
Well, we don't really know each other well. Our districts don't overlap. I have never had a substantive conversation with him.
And now, of course, his betting markets have Mamdani at 95% chance to win, while all of a sudden in comes Hakeem Jeffries at the last second with a little tepid endorsement. Yeah, I guess I'll endorse Mamdani. But while Hakeem has endorsed him, Chuck Schumer still hasn't.
You've been asked numerous times if you will endorse Zohran Mamdani for New York City mayor. You always say you're going to continue to talk. There are two key questions here that you haven't answered. One is, will you ever endorse him? And two, what do you need from him to get your endorsement?
First of all, I know him. We've had a good relationship in the past, and we had a good meeting 2 weeks ago, a very long meeting with a lot of serious questions. And all I can tell you is I'm going to continue talking to him.
What's the holdup?
I got to continue talking to him, and that's what I'm going to do.
Is part of the calculus that if you endorse a Democratic socialist, you're worried it will be damaging to your party, maybe even your chances of winning back the Senate?
I'm going to continue talking to him. Dana, you can ask me again.
He's gonna continue talking to him. You would think, with a young trailblazer like this, someone like Mamdani making all of this noise, creating all of this hype, and taking over New York City politics by storm, the entire Democrat establishment would have no issue jumping behind him. He's our next rising political star. But instead it's, I guess I'll endorse him. I'll endorse him, but I'm not endorsing his agenda. We're not increasing taxes. I'm still going to talk to him. We'll keep talking. It's obvious what's happening. They're working behind the scenes to hamstring him at every corner because they know the arithmetic. These tax the rich policies don't fund a socialist utopia. No, they fill U-Hauls headed straight to Palm Beach, and they're petrified of it. The billionaires, oh, the evil billionaires. The supposed evil billionaires fund all of these socialist pet projects. They're the ones paying the majority in taxes. They're the reason New York City has this massive city and state budget that Mamdani seems to take for granted. He seems to believe that, it's New York, so no matter how much we attack businesses and productive people aren't going to have any choice but to prioritize doing business here. Yeah, that's not necessarily true. Greater cities have fallen, and frankly, in a lot of ways, New York City's already in a fallen state. It's been drifting and dragging, declining, and now that decline is likely to continue. And if Mamdani succeeds in implementing his agenda, well, that's probably exactly what's going to happen, a continued New York City decline. And that, I think, is fueling deeper panic in the Democrat headquarters, because it's not just Mamdani. The party is drifting towards Mamdani types, further and further left, a whole lot further than Bernie Sanders and his boomer socialist worldview. They are going full-on communist, because that's what grassroots leftism wants. That's what the activist base wants. They want maximalist communist ideology. And I know people are fighting like hell to stop it, especially conservatives. But what are you going to do, honestly? It's wasted effort, tweeting over and over that Mamdani's a terrorist. If anything, you just sully yourself, especially if you take the rhetoric to such a degree. But there's so many people, we gotta stop him, we gotta stop him. We gotta work to endorse Cuomo. F Cuomo. You don't have the ability to stop what's coming. It's New York City. It's a leftist stronghold. And in a way, they have the right to elect who they want. And clearly, they're big time behind Mamdani. And so I think the best thing you could do at this point is just be at peace with it. Let the experiment run, because that's what this is. It's a socialist human experiment. The voters want it. The voters are spearheading it. And so you can't get in the way of democracy. Let them do what they gotta do. They're gonna run into a brick wall. History tells us that, math tells us that, common sense tells us that, and then, maybe show up to try to help pick up the pieces. It's just like what happened with Joe Biden. In that case, we really did work tirelessly to stop it, but in a lot of ways, it was kind of one of the best things that happened. They had their 4-year run, and that created the left-wing environment of failure that led to this great American awakening. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.